Back in 1999, the music industry felt like this unbreakable fortress, a multi-billion-dollar empire built on shiny plastic discs. Well, this is the story of how one simple piece of software, written by a teenager in his dorm room, brought that entire empire crashing down. It really does sound like something out of a movie, right? But it's exactly what happened. And to get it, to really understand the story, we first have to appreciate just how powerful, how completely in control the music industry was before the internet came along and just changed all the rules. So before Napster, music was pretty much a one-way street. You had a handful of giant corporations, and they decided what you listened to, how you listened to it, and exactly how much you were gonna pay for that privilege. I mean, just try to wrap your head around this number. In 1999, at the absolute peak of the CD era, the global music industry was raking in nearly $40 billion a year. It just seemed completely untouchable. So where was all that money coming from? Oh, it's simple. You'd walk into a Tower Records or Sam Goody. You pay maybe $20 for a CD that cost the record label less than a single dollar to make. The profit margins were, well, they were astronomical. And the whole system was frankly completely rigged. You had just 5 major labels running the entire show. The artists, the actual people creating the music, they'd get a tiny percentage, but, and this is a big but, only after the label paid itself back for every single expense. The result? A whole lot of artists who sold hundreds of thousands of albums never saw a dime in royalties. Okay, so into this rigid, controlled world comes this disruptive force that absolutely no one saw coming. It wasn't a rival company, it wasn't some new gadget from a tech giant. It was just a simple program built by a college kid. And this is him. Meet Shawn Fanning. His goal wasn't to destroy an industry. It was really just the frustration of a music fan. See, at the time, finding individual songs online, MP3s, it was a huge pain, super unreliable. So he just coded a solution himself and named it after his online nickname, Napster. So how did this thing even work? Well, the magic was a technology called peer-to-peer, or P2P. See, Napster itself didn't actually store any music. It was more like a giant digital phone book. It connected users who had a song with users who wanted that song. The file transfer itself happened directly between their computers. And that was a really crucial legal distinction, at least for a little while. The growth was just insane. It was unlike anything the internet had ever seen before. In just over a year, 80 million people had signed up. College internet networks, which had these brand new high-speed connections, were literally crashing under the sheer weight of all the Napster traffic. But here's the thing you have to understand. While free was the big headline, the real revolution was the experience. For the first time in history, you had a search bar that led to the world's largest jukebox. Obscure B-sides, live tracks, entire back catalogs. It was all right there, instantly. It gave you something the record stores never could. Everything. The industry, watching its profits basically evaporate overnight, didn't try to adapt, it didn't try to compete, it did what fortresses do when they're under attack. It declared all-out war. And the timeline was incredibly fast. The Recording Industry Association of America, the RIAA, they filed this colossal lawsuit. The band Metallica famously became the face of the opposition. And then, within 2 years, the courts had sided with the industry and ordered Napster to shut down. Just like that. And this whole thing just created this massive cultural divide. On one side, you had the industry establishment, superstars like Metallica and Dr. Dre. And on the other, you had millions of fans, students, tech people, and even other artists like Chuck D and Radiohead, who were basically arguing that the old system was broken anyway. This quote from Metallica's drummer, Lars Ulrich, it really captures the anger and the frustration that so many artists felt. They saw their life's work just being taken for free, and they felt totally powerless to stop it. It was a statement that made him a hero to the industry and pretty much a villain to an entire generation of internet users. The scale of the legal threat here was just staggering. I mean, the RIA wasn't asking for a slap on the wrist. They were seeking damages of up to $100,000 for every single song shared on the platform. The potential liability? We're talking trillions of dollars. So the music industry won the battle. They shut Napster down. But in doing so, they completely, utterly lost the war. Their victory came at a price that would haunt them for the next decade. Because here's what happened. When Napster's central servers went dark,
the problem didn't just disappear. Oh no, it mutated. New programs like LimeWire and Kazaa popped up, and they have no central server to sue. They were decentralized, making them almost impossible to shut down. The industry had basically killed the king, only to unleash 1,000 princes that were way harder to catch.
So, frustrated, the RIAA turned its legal firepower on the fans themselves. They sued around 35,000 individuals. But the targets? They often included 12-year-old girls and even a deceased grandmother. The headlines were an absolute public relations nightmare. It just painted the record labels as these out-of-touch corporate bullies.
So what happened after all the dust settled? Well, the world that Napster broke was gone for good. But what rose from the ashes would, ironically, look a whole lot like the very thing the industry fought so hard to destroy.
This chart, it says everything. The financial damage was just devastating. From that 1999 peak of almost $40 billion, revenue just fell off a cliff. It plummeted by more than 60% over the next 15 years. The CD was dead, and record stores were quickly becoming a memory. But out of that chaos, new legal ways to get music finally started to pop up. Apple's iTunes proved people would pay as long as it was convenient. Then Spotify took it a huge step further, offering a subscription for basically all the music in the world, a legal Napster, if you will. And today, streaming isn't just part of the industry, it is the industry. And what's really fascinating is that Napster basically wrote the script for digital disruption. You see this pattern over and over again. A nimble tech startup uses the internet to challenge a slow, gigantic, entrenched industry. Think Netflix versus Blockbuster or Uber versus taxis. Napster was just the first. So, if there's one big lesson here, it's this. Napster taught every industry something painful but vital. You cannot fight technological progress. Once that genie is out of the bottle, you can't put it back. You just have to adapt. You have to find new ways to get paid.
And that brings us to our final thought for today. The entire system has changed. The labels have been replaced by tech giants. Artists now earn fractions of a penny for every stream. So it leaves us with a really critical question. For the people who are actually making the music, is the new boss really any better than the old one?